ESPN and the PBA welcome you back to Buffalo. Rob Stone, Hall of Famer Randy Peterson here with you. Parker Bone, the third, victorious by 4 pins, so he moves on to take on fellow lefty and Buffalo native Ryan Simonelli. We flash back to last Sunday, down south in New Jersey. Norm Duke, the #1 seed for the U.S. Open. Big effort in the 10th to apply pressure on Mika Koivuniemi.
Yeah, 9th and 10th frame. Norm had to have all 4 to make Mika show up and mark in the 10th frame.
Mika needed that 10-pin for the title. He misses it. Norm Duke and the rest of the crowd stunned. Duke takes home another major. Mika having to deal with that miss.
I don't really like to talk about what happened that shot. I try to forget it, but I was really happy the shot I make in the 10th. Situation like that, you want to strike and close it off, and after 20 feet I was 95% sure I'm going to strike with that shot, and that might be one thing. I get a little bit upset I didn't strike it, and wrong things start to go my mind, I guess, and get a little bit nervous, but I've been nervous many other times and still make my spare, so that's not the excuse, but something went wrong. I'm not sure. Probably will never watch that shot in my life in slow motion, but it stuck my thumb, and right after I release it, I knew I was going to miss it.
Mika also telling us he will never watch that shot again. Can't say I blame him. It's painful for me. It's painful for you to watch. And we didn't even throw the dumb thing. But on the good side, Mika Koivuniemi won the TOC and the $250,000 paycheck that came with it, and he is literally just days away from being honored as the PBA Player of the Year. One big gaffe does not make a whole season or a career.
No, and you're right. That was one of the hardest moments, toughest things that I've ever watched in our sport. But the big question for Mika moving forward is not whether or not he's going to make another telecast. It's what happens the next time he's in that same situation in a major championship. Will it be the Mika that we saw miss a 10-pin, or will he be able to exercise those demons and make the shot when it counts?
Yeah, those demons seem to find a home between the ears, don't they? Well, we may see Mika Koivuniemi in our next broadcast as we head to Indianapolis for the Dick Weber PBA playoffs, a brand new format. It's similar, Randy, to the NCAA men's basketball tournament where you have regions, but here we have 6 regions, the best from the PBA and the best from regionals across our country.
Yeah, and the top 6 on the PBA point list earn a bye into round 4. Lots of action from around the country. The best regional players against the best touring pros.
Buys a big thing here, just like you want to be seated high at the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Well, the top 6, point-wise, will earn a bye all the way into the 4th round, and there's Mika Koivuniemi. He'll be granted a series of buys. Bill O'Neill, your #1 seed, and our coverage with that begins Sunday, March 27th at 2:30 Eastern, and it will continue for the next 3 Sundays on ESPN, wrapping up April 17th. Well, when we return, PBA legend Johnny Petraglia, who just missed out on making today's show, will join us, plus local boy made good. 24-year-old #2 seed Ryan Simonelli takes to the wood when ESPN's coverage of the PBA returns. The Mark Roth Plastic Ball Championship is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. By Spiriva Handy Hailer. By Ebonite, Bowl to Win. And by Barbazol. Start your day with Barbazol Shaving Cream, America's leader for a close, comfortable shave. Welcoming you back to the AMF Thruway Lanes here in Cheektowaga, New York, just outside of Buffalo for our continuing coverage of the Mark Roth Plastic Ball Championship. Joining us right now, a legend, a Hall of Famer, Johnny Petraglia, who this week proved age is just a number, my man. 64 years old, yet finished 8th in the tournament, just missing the show by 4 spots. You always seem to have success here at the Plastic Ball Championship.
Well, I love the plastic ball. It's like going back in time. The picture of the lane looks the same. There's just confidence in it. You're back in your own environment, so it does really lend to my kind of game.
Yeah, but John, what are you drinking at age 64 to be able to compete at this level? Come on, there's got to be a secret.
It's the love of the game, Randy. You know, traveling may get old, but bowling never does.
Such a hero of mine.
It's great fun. We were talking to some of the guys this week saying what a thrill it was to bowl next to you and with you and really in the same facility with you, particularly when you're tearing it up. Johnny will join us throughout our coverage of this match between Parker Bohn III and Ryan Simonelli, our semifinal de facto match, if you will. Number 1 seed Jason Couch waiting in the wings. All lefty semifinal. Youth versus experience. Parker Bohn III will start us off on the left.
Parker had a little bit of early turn going in that first game, but I was watching him practice. I think he's worked it out.
The number 2 qualifier has 2 PBA regional titles. He won his first Lumber Liquidators PBA Tour title at the One-A-Day Earl Anthony Memorial Classic. From Cheektowaga, the Ryan Express, Ryan Simonelli.
Little hometown favorite here, Johnny?
Yeah. Well, I think Ryan is a rising star. I think the 2 really new young talents, him and Dan McClellan, I think they're both going to be terrific bowlers out here. I think the way that Ryan keeps that, if you watch that left shoulder, he gets it underneath him so tight that it always makes him follow through to the left. It eliminates a lot of pull, and he's a terrific bowler so far.
This is 3rd top 15 finish of the season. A win today, he'd be the first to claim 2 titles in this season.
Well, I think he's got a lot of pressure on him in front of the hometown crowd, Rob. It's you know, it can get you going, but it can also create pressure. You know, his dad's sitting right behind him. Those are it's different in emotions. We'll have to see how he reacts as the day goes on.
That was one of the things we talked with him about yesterday is I need to come out and just bowl right off the bat. Forget about this crowd and get confident so I can use it as a motivation. He just destroys those wraps.
Yes, he does.
Hey, John, I always said it was easier to handle the nerves when you're a younger man versus an older man. What's your take?
I think what happens is when you have a situation like I had this week where I had a chance for the show, it isn't like I got a chance next week, you know, and,
right.
and every week that goes by, you know, well, I'm not as good as I was a year ago and so forth. So I think in that sense, you feel like your numbers are limited. Yeah,
it's kind of out of his hand, a little different. Getting back to what you mentioned, a little early turn. That ball just didn't look like it rotated correctly.
Yeah, I think he really overemphasized on the right lane because every shot that went high basically was on the right lane for him. So he was trying really hard to stay behind the ball.
To Parker with the spare. There is a charitable component to this event, something you know very well, Johnny.
Well, this has been a terrific week for charity. You know, KR and On the Ball did wonders making these plastic balls for the charities. We have the Bowling Foundation, the Bowling Hall of Fame, the International Bowling, Junior Bowling, and the BVL, the Bowlers to Veterans Link, and all of the money raised from the bowling balls from them that we got this week is going to help all of these charities. So with Brad Handelman and Mike Stout and Tony Mendiola, they did a wonderful job, and everybody in the game benefits.
On the Ball came out here with some 200 bowling balls that our players had to drill up, and only 2 per player to start the tournament with, Johnny. It's like old school, huh?
Well, that's a tremendously big difference, Randy. Just before we went out after the first block, the number was 77 over, and Mike Rose had asked me what it's going to take. I said, double it and minus 10. And he says, how do you know that? I said, because nobody can go into the truck and drill a new ball.
Right.
And the lanes have been redone, so they're going to be the same. The scores will be about the same.
A lot of speed and a lot of power that young southpaw possesses, and I think he really made a name for himself last season at the World Championships and the Cheetah Championship against Norm Duke. He was throwing urethane and basically took Duke the distance. Norm ended up on top that day, but he really made a name for himself in that event. He knew it was just a matter of time before he won a tournament out here.
He won the one-a-day Earl Anthony Memorial in late January, defeating Patrick Allen. He was the #1 seed, so he was telling us yesterday, all right, I've got that first title. This title today, the hopeful title for him, is not really for him. It's not really for the family. It's for the city of Buffalo and all the people who have supported him throughout. And this city does rally around their sporting stars, particularly if you're a bowler.
I think he's handling the pressure just fine. This was a fairly tricky pair all week. In lane 50, the right lane tended to want to hook early, so you always tried to overcorrect, and you got that little flutter. And so it was tough to put doubles together. And we'll see how it happened in the first match. We'll see how it goes through this one.
Parker back on the strike train.
Beautiful style of Parker Bone III, something that I think growing up wasn't his idol, Dave Davis, Johnny?
Yes, it was.
So he tried to emulate?
He tried to emulate Dave Davis right from the gun, and he's done a pretty good job.
Yeah.
You watch Dave bowl and you watch Parker bowl, and they're basically the same. Parker has more power.
Talk about idolizing bowlers. It was Parker Bone III that was idolized by Ryan Simonelli growing up, and talk more about that in our next segment. And boy, Ryan had a lot to say about the impact Parker and his wife Leslie have had on his career.
And I think I'm the only right-hander that idolized Johnny Petraglia growing up.
Ooh, skinny jeans.
That's
You know, most people think that I idolized Marshall Holman or Mark Roth growing up. I idolized Johnny Petraglia growing up, so there you go.
Johnny, he says that to everybody who's in the booth with us.
I had a feeling.
It's not true.
Hey, I idolized Dick Weber. He was right-handed, you know, so.
There you go.
Simonelli stepping up to close out the fifth, looking for his first double and his third strike of this semifinal.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, vicious ringing 7 there.
Was off the good.
That was really a great shot, because that to get that ball to skid flip like that on that right lane is tough, and he threw that one great.
See that bent elbow, that snapping of the elbow and the wrist at the bottom of the swing, and that's what creates revolutions, as you know. That's the modern game of today. But what's interesting is that Ryan Simonelli's got enough maple moxie to be able to dial it in, whether he's throwing it straight with plastic or hooking reactive resin.
That's true, and remember that on a couple of shows he was also throwing regular urethane
Correct.
to try and cut down his hook. So he's bowled with all three.
Keep making good shots.
Take a look now at the arsenal that Ryan would have been using if we were not using the Mark Roth plastic ball.
Burst 505A and the freeze. Instead, it's the Mark Roth plastic ball like everyone else.
Strike number 3 for the hometown favorite.
Parker Bone had the choice of starting lane the last match. He chose to finish on the left lane. Simonelli does the same thing. Simonelli, big advantage going into the 10th.
When we return, we'll tell you about the impression and impact Parker Bone III has had on Ryan Simonelli's burgeoning career. This is the 2011 Mark Roth Plastic Ball Championship live on ESPN. Live look at Mark Roth, and he is the subject of this week's winning touch, brought to you by Touch of Gray. Gets rid of some gray, never all. Mark Roth, in his first career win back in 1975, qualified as the tournament leader for the 1975 King Louis Open in Overland Park, Kansas. He was just 23 years old at the time, would win his first career title in grand style, striking on his first 11 shots in the final match versus Steve Jones at 4-pin. The only thing preventing him from a perfect game, he would settle for $299 in the first of his 34 career titles.
Rob, Mark Roth was so dominant from 77 to 79. You know, he bowled for the title 33 times in that era and averaged 215.8 for over 15,000 games. No, he didn't make 33 shows. He bowled for the title 33 times.
He was special. He was really special.
Still is. Strike number 3 for the Hall of Famer.
Yeah, this is critical now. Ryan's dialed in. Parker is starting to find his game. He's got to strike right now, though, or it can get out of hand.
Johnny Parker Bone III, one of the greatest ever, Hall of Famer. Does he still have it?
Oh, he still has it. There's been subtle changes in lane conditions that have made Parker have to adjust his game a little bit at the age of 47 or 48, and as you get up there a little bit, it's a little bit tougher, but he works so hard at it, and he has such a good mental attitude that he certainly has it.
Another strike. This match has been awfully similar outside of the open frame by Parker Bone III in the third.
He just cuts the lead to 5 right here. Watch the 7-pin left on your screen. A little hesitant, gets a little love kick from the 4, goes down. Parker Bone trails by 5, but Simonelli working on a strike, getting up here in the 7th frame.
Simonelli, the local product, bowling against the guy he grew up idolizing. Simonelli, bottom to 7. And we talked to Simonelli yesterday about the impact Parker Bone III had in his career, and he said, man, back then, I would watch Parker. He used to hook it, throw it right at the gutter, it would come flying back. He looked like a righty in a lefty's body, and people always told Ryan that the physical game of the two, Parker and Ryan, looked awfully similar. The first time he ever met Parker Bone III was at a New Jersey tournament hosted by Parker Bone III when Ryan was about 16 or 17. He got to meet him. He said, man, I was way intimidated, way overwhelmed. Maybe just kind of went up there and gave him a limp handshake and said hello. But his first year out on the tour, he remembers a morning in Reno where Parker Bone said, you know, youngster, come with me. We're going to go have breakfast in Reno. And they talked about the tour. They talked about career. And that was the moment Ryan said, wow, you know, not many people get to become friends with somebody they grew up idolizing. And that is the case for Simonelli. Leaves the 7-pin.
Jeez.
Now it's just a carry issue, John, and trying to dial that in. But I've got a question for you. As great as you bowled this week, explain the differences. Obviously, visually, we can see the difference in ball reaction. You know, reactive resin going down, snapping late. You never want reactive resin to hook early. It was exactly the opposite this week, wasn't it?
It's exactly the opposite. You want that ball to start making its move and then rolling toward the pocket with 20 feet to go. And if you would watch a lot of the other bowlers, you would see that's just what they were trying to do, that there wasn't anybody that was finishing up high, especially on the right, wasn't trying to loft it. They were trying to get the ball down early. Even Jason Belmonte was as much as he was hooking it, he was trying to get the ball down early and get the ball to move in time and have it set up on top of the pocket rather than come real late from behind the pocket.
And Jason Belmonte had a great week as well, I think, finishing 6th. Joe Ciccone from Buffalo just missing out. He finished 5th.
Got a new leader this game.
Hey, Ed, you were right. Apparently the kid still has it.
Still got it.
All right, maybe he's not a kid anymore, but he still has it.
6-pin game as we begin the foundation frame 9th. Another look at Parker's effort in the 8th.
You know, to me, John, you know what's amazing when watching Parker Bone at age, 48? He hasn't lost an inch of knee bend. His follow-through looks exactly the same, and I think his waist size is the same as it was when he joined the tour some 25 years ago.
You know what he's
missing,
missing,
he eats
though?
like a horse.
You know what's missing, though, don't you?
What's that?
The mustache.
The upper
The
lip.
mustache.
The stash is gone. Told him this is last summer. I think I'm going to get rid of it. Randy, you told me yesterday he's had it since he was 12? Another strike for PB3.
This is no lie. My daughter asked him why he shaved off the mustache, and he told her it helped him aerodynamically getting to the foul line.
Well, he's taking the lead now. He can shoot 235 if he strikes out. The most Ryan Simonelli can shoot right now, 219. Parker is in command of this match.
Fourth strike for Simonelli, the first on that right lane.
Oh, great.
Well, it's kind of the same situation that we had in the last match. Ryan Simonelli can strike out to force Parker to throw the first one.
And he hasn't really made a bad shot yet. A couple of solid 7s, a couple of solid 6s. I mean, he's just been dialed in. It's a question of can he do it in the 10th, and then it'll be up to Parker.
Just pin carry right now. Great shot there. Johnny, did you use 15 pounds or 16 pounds this week?
I used 15, Randy.
15?
Yeah, it computes. You know, that's 64. Sure. My wrist would have never held up with 16 because I had to hit it a lot harder to make the ball react. And I actually considered 14 because I knew I couldn't miss it at the bottom.
Ryan's dad, Angelo, just over his right shoulder in the blue and the black. Intently watching this one.
And that was the big shot there because that would have forced Parker Bone to strike first ball in the 10th frame.
Yep, now he needs just a mark.
Any kind of mark for Parker, and he'll move on to face his old roommate and best friend, Jason Couch.
Yeah, who is going to be extremely tough, and who's worked harder than him on changing his game, trying to get the ball more direct. It's been it's been great.
They got a mark.
Yeah. Just one quick extension on when we were talking about that leaderboard. Watching Ronnie Russell this week was something. He was getting it down really early, and he was hooking it as if it was reactive resin. It was really amazing to watch, and he just missed the show, too.
Right. Ronnie Russell's a freak of nature. That he can do some serious things with his wrist at the bottom of the swing.
And we'll be in Ronnie's hometown of Indianapolis for our next 4 shows. And yeah, you bring up a good point, Johnny. We've seen Ronnie high up on the leaderboard the last couple weeks, and it's been a long time for him to make a TV show, and you get the sense he's on the verge of breaking through finally.
I agree.
Oh, my God. Well, we saw it last week. Parker Bone has to cover the 7-pin, just like Mika had to make the 10-pin, except this isn't for the title. This is to move on to the title match.
Got it. And he moves on.
Does he need end count?
Parker, how tough was that 7-pin to make?
To tell you the truth, the 7-pin ball feels a lot better than the strike ball right now. But to be honest with you, this one will be down the middle. We'll worry about that later. That's close enough.
A little reconnaissance shot there by the Hall of Famer. So Parker Bone III moves on to take on his former roommate, Jason Couch. Johnny, thanks for your time. Always a pleasure to have you in the booth. And again, congrats on a great week. And we want to remind you that game used balls from this event are available for purchase. You can also design your own ball or pin over on PBA.com. Let's bring in the sales so we can help those charities. Right, Johnny?
Well, Rob, that's exactly right. Thank you for the charity, and thanks again, guys. I love being here.
Thanks, Johnny. You're always a dear friend. It's an honor to know you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Up next, we'll hear live from our #1 seed, Jason Couch, and get his thoughts on using plastic and taking on Parker Bone III. Our title match just minutes away.